Okay, Michael, let's go.
Martin, I feel like we're on a roll. Like we've done a lot of these recently. I feel good. Do you
Mhm.
feel in a zone? I feel like I'm in a zone right now.
Definitely feel amazing. It's great to be recording.
It is super great to be recording. I feel like we're entering like a different phase of e-commerce undercover, if
We do.
that's fair. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, completely. We do. We definitely
Oh,
do. That's great.
who do we have with us today? Ohad?
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to pronounce your last name because I got a couple of questions for this. But you're the CTO of Namogoo. Did I say that right?
Correct. You said it amazing. Yes.
And how do I pronounce your last name?
It's a Greenshpan.
Greenshpan. Now you
Yes.
know this. I have to ask this question. Okay, is this like an English transliteration of a Hebrew name?
No, it's not. Actually, there's a famous guy in the US called Alan Greenspan.
Yeah, used to be famous, but yeah,
Maybe I'm a relative, but maybe not.
unlikely.
But I guess we come from the same area in Poland, so it's a Polish name.
Oh.
And the rumors say that it's the root of this last name is that people that dealt with knives and
Really?
like that, like metal, because
Okay.
Greenspan is like the corrosion. How do you say? Like the when it's when the
Oh, when it corrodes. When it corrodes, yeah. So it's like
with oxygen.
it's
Like
the rust.
Liberty, yeah, that it becomes like
Yeah,
green.
it's the rust. Yeah,
Exactly.
got it.
So this is the meaning of the names. Apparently, people who dealt with metal things used to kill people.
Got it. But are you based in Israel?
Yes, I'm based in Israel.
So are you Israeli? And are you Israeli by birth?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you like I wanted it to be like the transliteration of a Hebrew name because I wanted to ask you like, is it the shin, the samech? You know what I mean? Like I was just curious like how it was spelled, but now that doesn't matter anymore. So I guess not.
Exactly. By the
Yeah.
way, you didn't ask, but I will tell anyway. Namogoo, the meaning of actually Namogoo is a Hebrew word.
Yeah.
That comes from the Bible. And
Tell me.
Namogoo, in the plural tense of it, it means faded away. So when or dissolves, when a smoke dissolves and fades away, it's called Namog. It's very like poetical. It's very high language, high Hebrew.
Oh.
But Namogoo is in plural, dissolved or faded away.
Got it.
Actually, the first product of the company is a product that handles all the interruptions on the browser and makes them go away or dissolve. So that's what Namogoo is. And the funny story is that in one of our trips, my partner and I, Chemi, we went in Japan. And we thought that Namogoo sounds Japanese. And we told them, Japanese, Namogoo is like, sounds Japanese, right? They said, no.
No, it doesn't. So I've already hinted, like I don't think a lot of people ask you about Hebrew letters, right? Shin, Samech. So I've hinted a little bit about what I do and don't know. But what you may or may not know about me is I lived in Japan for 22 years. So really? Namogoo. So the Japanese language is very, it's syllabic. Yeah. So Namogoo could be like 3 Japanese syllables, but I don't know what that word would mean, to be fair.
Yes.
But yeah, it sounds like something.
You speak Japanese?
Hi. So that's it.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, as a little boy, I used to speak Hebrew as well. So you got that going for you. A long time ago, yeah. Wow. I mean, if you go to yeshiva, which nobody really knows that I did, you would speak Hebrew because you study in Hebrew all day, yeah?
So you're like 5 different people in one person.
Oh my God, I think I'm more like 10 different people in one person. And that's what I want to find. But this isn't about me. It's about you. And I want to know more about you, to be fair. So can you give us a little bit of your background? We haven't had a lot of guests from Israel on. Is that true, Martin?
Did not. Like we maybe 1 or 2, but not so much. But the Israeli startup
it's amazing
nation, let's say, because it got really, really famous the last.
Are you advertising now for Israel? They don't need this.
I have no idea. To be fair, I don't know a lot about that, so I'm really looking forward to learn much more about like what's going on in your company, but also like in the world Israeli startup scene. That would be super great.
Yeah. So tell us about your background, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course. So yeah, I'm 43 years old. I look younger, but actually 43. 3 children, 13, 10, and 5.5. All are super, super cute. If you see the the piano behind me. So I'm all into music, all about creativity and creation
Nice.
since I was a very little child. And I think when you speak about the Israeli industry, I remember when I was like 3 or 4 years old, until today, my mother kept telling me all the time, think different, think different, think different, think different.
Interesting.
That's how I grew up. And I think many of the Israeli entrepreneurs and also the Israeli nation is all about, think different, being creative, do things, quick, because, young country, lots of enemies around, complicated history. And it's all about, surviving and being fast, and you don't know what's going to happen like tomorrow. So it's all about being fast and creative. So I think there's a very good vibe in the Israeli scene, very creative. And because, so there's like a dissonance, in the Israeli industry, because the tech, and also because of the Israeli army.
Yeah.
I actually came from the 8200, the elite intelligence unit, because of the Israeli army and the tech units in the army. It creates a lot of tech, cybersecurity and digital and everything. And because so very great tech in Israel on one hand. On the other hand, the market in Israel is very, very small.
Yeah.
So no one works in the Israeli, no one works for the Israeli market. We always go abroad. So
can I ask you this though? So I'm in Singapore now, right? Singapore's population and Israel's population, depending on when you're counting, let's just call it 6 million, right? 5.5, 6 million, 7 million people, whatever.
Israel is 9.
9. Okay. So even a little bit bigger.
Yes.
But the Singapore market, right, just like the Israeli market, it skews wealthy, right? So GDP per capita is high.
Yes.
And higher. And also the technical education in Israel, very different than in Singapore, but still people here are very educated. Yes. Is Israel a good test market? Because Singapore is a killer test market in some ways.
Yes.
But not in a lot of other ways. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think maybe Israel and Singapore are quite similar in the sense that Singapore also, as far as I know, sees itself as a gateway to Asia, a gateway to the world, right? So very much like Israel, we don't look internally, we look externally. So in some cases it's good, some cases we don't contribute so much as much as I think we should to the Israeli market. So investing in the Israeli market and making it better. I think the tech scene in Israel is very, very advanced. And also the medicine and everything, the other parts as well.
Right.
But the Israeli tech scene is very advanced, I think, primarily because of the Israeli army.
Well, the armed forces, right?
Singapore as well, by the way. That's a different story.
Can you talk a little bit about you're the CTO, right? So maybe you can talk a little bit about your tech background, right? Sure. In other words, so I'm sure you had a whole bunch of tech education while you were in the armed forces, but before that, where did you go to school?
Yes, so I went to school. I did the bachelor's, master's, and PhD in computer science.
Shocking.
I thought initially that I'm going to be a researcher, so I went to IBM Research Labs back in 2006, and I spent there a few years. And I was.
Where was that?
It was in Haifa, in Israel.
Got it, in Haifa.
IBM Research Labs back in the days, maybe still today, they had 8 research labs globally. One of them is in California. We talked about California before. New York, France, I think they have one. India, they have a few. And the Israeli research lab is very, very advanced. Again, as part of the Israeli scene. I think I was very different than most of the researchers there, because what excited me the most is not specifically the research, but how we can take it to the market. And I found myself raising capital inside IBM, because the way that IBM research labs work, you have projects. So half of the funding you get from the corporate, but half of the funding you have to get yourself. Really? So I found myself, usually it's the top managers, deal with the funding stuff and money. But since I was very excited about it, I found myself founding projects, initiating projects, and raising funding from the outside through grants, through projects that I led, etc., etc. Raised funding, started a project, moved on. Raised funding, moved on. Raised funding. So then I understand that I'm actually an entrepreneur. I didn't know what entrepreneur is, but I thought I understand that I'm an entrepreneur inside IBM. And then I decided to leave at some point. I spent there many years. It was my best school ever, so I owe them a lot.
What kind of projects? Sorry to interrupt you, but what kind of projects were you working on at IBM, if you don't mind me asking?
Cool. Very cool project. So maybe I think the most interesting one was a project called STEM. I think it was spacious. A simulator or something like actually we built a simulator that how diseases spread, like infectious diseases spread, very relevant for today, or even 2020 2021. So what in the simulator, you had like a map of the world, you had all the connections of all the roads and all the flights, all the birds routes and everything, and then you could infect one area, and then with all the models you could
watch what happened.
What would happen, and then you could put strategies inside the model. You would say, okay, I want to compare what would happen if I closed a city in day 3, or if I shut down all the flights in day 5. And then you could run the simulators one side by side, and you could test different strategies, what would happen. And then there was like
Can I ask you this? So when COVID was going on, I mean, this technology must have come in super handy. Was this being used as well?
I wasn't there.
You don't know.
Happened, but I'm sure it helped, because even before we had like various diseases in 2000. I think it was the pig flu, and I think there was like a few, and IBM sold these projects to several countries, Mexico and some others. So this is one project. Another one, we built models, machine learning models for HIV, for clinics. Another one was we connected, we talked about Asia, so we built through a technology called Meshups. We built systems for hospitals in South Korea, to connect various systems through Meshup technology. So I was in a healthcare department, and then at the end I moved to a social technologies group. What we did there is something super exciting and unique. We were developing games, and this area in gaming is called serious games. The idea of serious games is to take the power of games, the excitement and the points and everything, and use it for real life problems. So what we did in IBM, we used games to build dictionaries of words and connections between words, like glossaries, inside organizations extremely fast. So we took dictionaries that have been built for 10 years. We built it through a game, a competitive game between thousands of people inside IBM. We built it in a few days, something that was built through a competitive scoring system and everything. We built dictionaries and glossaries for the water industry, so many things. And I became one of the global leaders of this serious games industry. There weren't so many people that dealt with it. One in IBM, one in Microsoft, one in Google, one in Washington University. Super exciting field.
So do you feel like sometimes, I mean, you've worked on some incredible stuff, right? And that's why I wanted to ask you, because you don't just wake up one day and say, I want to start this company that's super data oriented, that has all these aspects to it that you feel like can help e-commerce grow without having some experience. But you've already talked about virality. You've already talked about gamification. You've already talked about using data. do you feel like sometimes when you walk around in your day-to-day life, you just kind of look at the world and just think, wow, everything that I studied helps me explain like the living universe around me in a way that most people don't understand?
Yes, I think it's. I think you're exaggerating. I wouldn't say that. But
But
I
am
think
I?
I think that the world is built of so many problems or so many things that just don't work properly.
Yeah,
I
that's for
wouldn't say
sure.
that I look at the world. I think I think it's a bit too big. But I think if you look at many things in the world, you say why is it working that way? I mean, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
So one of the products that we developed in Namagoo is a product that gives different personalized promotions on websites, right? So we spoke about Singapore. So we're now talking to Zalora in Singapore.
Okay.
And we work with the largest brands globally, JCPenney and Marks and Spencer. We work with all of them, and H&M and many others. And when you go to all of these websites, although you and I and Martin, we come with different intent. We're different people, right? We come with different
Right.
intent. We come with different data,
Yep.
different behaviors, different history, etc. Different device, different environment. When all of us go to the website, we actually get the same experience, right? All of us see the
Completely.
same exact thing
Yeah.
in terms of everything in all aspects. And in our case, we look at promotions. So although we come with different intent, with different data, different history, different whatever, we all get 20% discount for everyone, one size fits all,
Right.
like a billboard on the street. And it drives me crazy because it doesn't make any sense
No.
to have such a generic and cold experience, although
Right.
we are different people. And
Yeah, I'm never gonna buy a green shirt. I wear black shirts, and if there's a promo on green shirts, like I'm out. I don't care.
exactly. And why
Yeah, I don't care. Why?
why does
Why
it
do I
need
have to
to
look
be
at
that
this?
way? Exactly.
Yeah.
We can do so much better. So I think
Right.
it's not easy, even such a small problem. I'm not talking about global problems, but
Yeah. Yeah.
even such a small problem like giving everyone the right promotion at the right time is so complex to do it and to do it well.
Can we back up? Can we back up for a second on this though? Because this is super interesting to me, right? There are big companies out there, and Amazon kind of started this. I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe more. Right? If you bought this product, or people that bought this also bought this, right? This is the beginning and the genesis of recommendation engines.
Right.
But it sounds to me that what you're suggesting is this is not a recommendation engine. This is deeper than that. It's like a personalization engine. Maybe you can back up a little bit and just say how this works. I'm really curious.
Sure. So the way we do it, of course, there are many ways to deal with personalization. We
Sure.
specifically initially focus on promotions. Okay. So essentially, if we narrow down the problem, our goal is to allow, let's say, Marks and Spencer or JCPenney or H&M, give them the technology to give Michael or Martin the right coupon at the right time. Okay, so that's the small problem that we're trying to solve.
Right.
And it's a real challenge. Why? Because we are different people. We have different intent. We have different devices, different likelihood to buy, different. We're different people. We're today we're different than tomorrow, and we're different than 2 days from now. And even in the morning, we might behave differently than in the evening, right? And even today, now, I'm different than I'm going to be in 2 hours from now. So it's a dynamic environment. All of it, everything is changing. That's on one hand. On the other hand, the website is changing. On the other hand, the trends are changing, and the competition is changing. So everything is changing. So a lot of moving parts here.
It's super fluid, right?
Yeah, the way that we decided to approach is to try to predict using machine learning and AI technology that we developed in-house to predict at any given moment what is the probability of Martin or Michael to buy and to abandon. Okay, and it's like we go ahead.
I was going to say, so I go to the Zalata. Zalata. That's a combination, by the way, of Zalora and Lazada in my brain, because those companies used to be more closely related when they were rocket internet companies, right?
Yes.
I go to Lazada and I want to buy a green screen, right? And I specifically type in Elgato green screen. And I got a bunch of other garbage products that I don't want to buy. I'm really curious how this works from a Namogoo standpoint.
Yes. So
where
we are
let's
less
say,
about, yeah.
yeah, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm really curious, right? So let's say I'm just not ever been on a website before, ever, and I haven't been on the internet before, which is rare, but let's just say it happens. And I go to Lazada to buy a green screen. What are we then basing the promotions on? Is it just my activity there? Are you waiting for me to go around the rest of the internet and following me to see what happens there? And then when I come back, you give me better promotions? Like,
Yeah.
I really want to know in depth, like how this works.
Sure. I'll explain. So
Go ahead.
It's less for us, the way that we address it today, and it will change in the future. It's less about giving you a specific promotion to a specific product.
Okay, go ahead.
What we are trying to solve is whether I should give Michael 7% off, or 12% off, or 15,
12,
or 20,
15,
or 25,
more,
30, or 32.
Yeah, 32. Why we stop?
We're 32. So why not giving everyone 20%, like today, right? So if you go, let's take a step back for a second. If you and I go to Booking, the travel industry really nailed it, right? So if you go to, let's say you go to Agora, to
Agoda.
Agoda, or you go to Booking.com or Expedia.
Yep.
They actually nailed it, right? For you and I will see different rooms, rates for rooms, although we're looking at the same thing. So they do it quite well. There's always room to improve, but they do it quite well. The e-commerce industry is like 20 years ago. It's like 20 years behind the travel industry. So what we're trying to solve is, instead of giving everyone, Michael and Martin, 20% off through a banner, try to understand if Michael is worth 20%, maybe 17, maybe 5, maybe 27, maybe 32. Why?
How do you know, though?
Yeah, I'll explain just before that.
Okay.
Why not giving everyone 20? Because maybe Martin would buy anyway. So maybe if I haven't given Martin discount, he would still buy.
He's so rich.
Why losing 20% of my profit for Martin? Because he would buy anyway. On the other hand, Michael is a greedy person, right? As we know. And he might...
How do you know that?
I can read above your head. And for Michael...
That's so mean.
20% might not be enough. So if I gave Michael 20%, he would leave, he would abandon, and I would lose a sale. So we see retailers today losing twice. On one hand, losing profit on Martin. On the other hand, losing transactions on Michael, right? So 20% for everyone is not good. It's not good. As we say to our clients, it's so 2020, right? So we need to be different. So the way that we're trying to assess at any given moment, and explain why, how we do it, we're trying to assess what is the likelihood of Michael to buy, and when will Michael abandon. Why we do these two things, likelihood to buy and time of abandonment. Why? It's like, so two analogies that we use when we explain it is cards, right? So you don't want to reveal all of your cards at the beginning of the game, right? You keep them close to your chest. Why? Because you learn throughout the game, and over the game you become smarter, you gain more knowledge, and you can take different actions as time goes by. On the other hand, if you wait too much, you might lose, right? So in other words, if I gave Michael the discount on the first page on the journey, I might miss the information that he's looking for a green screen, whatever, later on. On the other hand, if I wait too long, I might lose him because after a few pages he would go. That's one analogy. The second analogy is like, imagine that you go into a store of H&M, right? Or Tiffany's. Let's see Tiffany's in Fifth Avenue. You go to Tiffany's, if you experienced it in the past, the salesperson, a good salesperson, would not reach out to you. He would wait.
Never.
He would look at you.
Yeah.
And what he would do, he would look at your watch. He would look at what products you look at, how nervous you are, if you're like calm, or what's your behavior. He would look at you closely, and then when he would reach out to you, when he would think that you're ready to buy, or when there's a risk that you are going to leave, right? Then he would catch you and say, can we help you? So this is exactly the analogy that we're using. We're trying to assess if Michael is going to buy or not, and if so, when he's going
But
to.
how do you do that?
do we know? How do we
Give me
know?
1 second.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, because I want to tell you my Tiffany story. So I went into Tiffany's, right, with my girlfriend at the time, who was Japanese.
Yes.
And there was like 3 white people standing in front of us behind the counter. We were just looking at diamonds and jewelry and stuff like that, right? So we were just speaking Japanese to each other. I'm sure you've done this. You're like, nobody understands Hebrew. Let's just switch to Hebrew, yeah?
Yes.
But you'd be surprised like how well trained the people at Tiffany's are, because the guy or the gal behind the counter, I can't remember anymore, at some point just jumped in and had understood our entire conversation.
Exactly.
So they're trained to do that. But I want to know, what I want to know is, how are you training the AI and the ML to know?
Exactly. So we are trained to do it as well. So the way we do it is very unique, and I'll explain. I'll explain now how deeply how it goes. So even before you start the journey on the site, like the store, when you go into the store, even before you look at the jewelry, by the way that you dress up and the way that you, I mean, when you enter the door, they already know a lot about you. They train people, right? So we do the same. We do it, and the unique thing is that we do it without compromising the privacy. How do we do it? We look, for example, we measure the speed of the device. How fast is your CPU, the device CPU? That's
so that tells you what our economic situation. In other words, if I have a brand new Mac Pro or brand new Mac Studio, you're thinking
it's less about the which computer you have. It's more about how fast your device is. That's one. I'll explain in a second.
What does that tell you there?
I'll explain in a second. The second metric is how fast the internet speed is. Why are these interesting? Because of 2 things. One, they tell something about, indirectly, they tell something about your economic ability, right? So
situation.
Situation. If you have like a strong device, there's a correlation that you're going to buy. Second, when you have a strong device, and we talk about experience and customer journey, when you have a strong device and strong internet, you're going to experience the website much better than someone with poor internet. So, and all research, any research that you will find on the internet shows
speed matters.
Speed matters, right?
Yeah.
So because of these 2 aspects, by measuring the speed of the device and the internet, I can already tell what is your prediction, what is my prediction of you to buy. That's one. Second, we look.
So I've got to get so you tell me I've got to get a crappier internet connection and a really bad computer so I can get better pricing. Go ahead.
But in big numbers, it doesn't work, right? So people go with whatever they have.
Do we do that?
Another thing is we look at the browser installs, for example, which is not personal. We look if you have shopping tools installed, like Amazon Assistant or Honey or shopping extensions in the browser. And or ad blockers in any, you have no idea how well it predicts if you're going to buy or not. I mean, how it's correlated to buying. Why? I don't know why. God knows.
I don't know why.
God knows why. And what's interesting in machine learning, and that's, I think, the change that you need to do in your mindset. It doesn't really matter, right? In machine learning, it doesn't really matter why. I mean, we're not trying to understand the philosophy of the world. We are trying to understand correlation between metrics and conversion, buying, retention, lifetime value, etc., etc. So it doesn't really matter. Of course, we have our assumptions, but maybe it's the tech savviness, maybe things like that. Maybe it's interactivity on the web, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. So in machine learning, you want to collect as much information as you can and try to use it smartly to predict what you want to predict. In our case, if you're going to buy, when are you going to abandon, if you're going to come to another session, etc., etc.
Right.
And based on that, we deliver the coupon. Our strategy at the moment is to give the highest coupon to the ones with the highest capability to buy, and the
Really?
highest risk to abandon.
Wait a second. So it's reversed though, right? In other words, if you've determined that somehow I'm on a slow connection, and I'm just generalizing, right? And that maybe I have an older CPU in my computer and I don't have any ad blocking, right? So I'm not savvy about that type of thing. But maybe that just means that I'm uninformed, which means I don't have a ton of money. You're suggesting then that I'm not going to get the biggest coupon because I'm still unlikely to buy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So go. Let's go.
Because it's counterintuitive, right?
Let's go back to Tiffany's, and I think it will make it intuitive.
Can I tell you something else though? Because I've thought about this, and I want to understand how it works in the physical world versus the digital world. Because I would go into Tiffany's almost on purpose in a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, and flip flops just to trick them. Like that was part of my strategy.
Yeah, but
because I wanted to be ignored.
But the trained salesperson would know by the
Really?
way that you act, by the way that you. I mean, a trained salesperson, you cannot fool a well-trained salesperson.
Go ahead.
And also, and in what on the internet is even much harder, because
it's impossible.
When you go to websites, you're not trying to fool people, right? You just browse.
No, I mean I'm trying, but it's not working.
You're being yourself. When you work instead of in front of people, you can try to fool them, but a trained salesperson would know, right? So you can fool him only for maybe 1 minute, but after like a few minutes, you're being yourself, right? You're being natural. So like in Tiffany's, we would put the highest bet on the ones that we believe they could buy, and they could buy a lot, but they have a high risk of abandonment, right? And that's
so can I ask you this then?
Yeah.
So you'll give me a 20% discount, but will you then increase the base price so that at the end of the day, maybe I'm only getting a 10% or a 7% discount? You know what I mean? Because you could do dynamic pricing where, like, let's say the thing could cost offline $100, but you put the price up to like 117, so not 120, and then give me a 20% discount to get me down to like 90 something. Do you do that as well?
At the moment, we provide only the coupons. We don't do the second part. And the reason
don't do the dynamic pricing.
We will do it. The reason for that is the e-commerce industry is not yet advanced enough and mature enough. The technology stack there is not mature enough to do dynamic pricing like Expedia and Agoda and Booking does.
Why? But why is that? You'd think so. It's been around for a long time, right?
Because when you work with, and Expedia was a client of ours as well. When you work with so travel companies, maybe because it's online and they don't sell goods, many of them are startup companies or started from startup companies, very tech savvy companies
from the beginning.
From the beginning, when you talk about JCPenney and Lowe's, and I have tons of respect to these companies, because these ones are. We work with almost all of them, and the ones that I mentioned now are the most advanced companies in the world of retail. But still, they sell clothes, they sell furniture, right? It's like they're not startup internet companies, and it just takes time. So many of them rely on Adobe, and many of them rely on IBM and the heavy technologies. And they're progressing really nicely, but it just takes time. So many of them are heavy companies and retail, brick and mortar. So it just takes time. We need to be patient. But I think the industry, especially after COVID, with the online and everything, we see them adopting cool technologies, because they understand that they need to be better and to be more competitive and to be. It's like they're less in the stores today. You need to be competitive online. You need to be very personalized. You need to be very good. So we see them changing. It just takes time.
Can you talk about this too? Because I think this is super interesting. JCPenney, right? Lowe's. When you think about them, you don't think about them as tech companies at all. You just think about them as kind of old-fashioned retailers. And you're right. It is kind of impressive because they've been around for 3 or 4 generations, right? So they must be doing something right. JCPenney is interesting because it's been through a few different iterations. Yes. But when a company like Namogoo goes in and says, we can help you online because we know all these things about all this data that you're gathering, both from like a like a blank slate standpoint, right? When Michael comes to your website for the first time and you know nothing, you can tell these things and those things from this data that we've already discussed. But then if you dig a little bit deeper, you can do so much more.
Yes.
Like at the beginning, what's the response and what does it take to get them over the line for them to say, I get it now.
Yes.
How can we use this? Do you know what I mean? Like what is the epiphany for them?
Yes, yes. So I think it's all about data. So I think once you show them strong data,
Right.
they get it. They get it. They have amazing data teams. And once you show them proof how data can change their life or can change their bonus or can change their, their revenue, they get it. They get it. And the more advanced ones take immediate action. I'll tell you something that we're currently doing with Lowe's.
Go ahead.
One of the top 10 retail companies in the US. It surprised us how they took what we showed them forward, and I'll explain in a second. So what we released about 6 months ago is a product called Customer Journey OS. The goal of Customer Journey OS is to become the operating system of the customer journey. Essentially, it's a data element that we're exposing on every page, on every session, that the retail site, the commerce site, and all the third parties running on it can fetch the data that they want from the OS and use it. One of the data points that we expose there is the internet speed that we mentioned, and the device CPU availability. So these are two data points that we use for ourselves to calculate intent. But over time, we showed it to Lowe's, and they said, can you expose the data to us in real time? We asked them why. They said, because we want to understand if the speed of the internet and the speed of the device impacts buying. What we did, we exposed it, and we showed them through very clear graphs that fast internet or actually slow internet is strongly correlated to abandonment.
For sure.
And what they're going to do now, which is amazing, and tons of respect to what they're going to do, they're going to build with us an alternative checkout page that will take all the unnecessary services and elements from the checkout
off,
and will give and we'll give a lightweight checkout page for the ones that have slow internet and slow device. And we believe it will change the conversion dramatically.
So there was, and Martin, you should know this, right? I want to bring, there was a company, what was the name of the guy, Martin, who runs Station F? Xavier Niel, right? Started this company in France. And Martin, tell me where I'm wrong here, but he started this company called Zero. And the idea initially was he was just going to give away internet service for free.
Yeah, free.
Because the ancillary services around internet service were so much more profitable than the monthly fee you would pay. Would it make sense for a company at some kind of scale like JCPenney, even in the neighborhoods where it can operate and deliver easily, just to give away high-speed internet so that then they can convert those customers into higher paying and bigger long-term value people?
Maybe.
Why not though, right? Because if that's one of the key differentiators.
Because again, it's not only about retail, it's also about the commerce at home, right? So
for sure.
Many people buy from remote, so giving internet in the area might be good for the store. Actually, it's a good idea. We can raise it.
Thank you. That's free, by the way.
Or it might be easier instead of providing like Wi-Fi and it's like a operation. Maybe just make your website lightweight. It's like just remove like big videos, large videos, media files, services. You have so the web.
Yeah, but how about this? Ohad, seriously, how about this? How about sign up for like the JCPenney or the Lowe's loyalty program, and we'll pay your high speed and we'll upgrade your internet to fiber for a year, kind of thing. And every year that you maintain the loyalty program, we'll pay for your internet.
Great idea. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. So they might do it because it's a big company. They have tons of customers. You might be helping your customers to buy elsewhere as well. But
what I
liked about your idea is that when you tie it to the loyalty, Then you
Yep.
create engagement. You create engagement
Exactly.
to my loyalty program at JCPenney.
Exactly.
So, great idea. I haven't thought about it. Maybe they haven't. I'm sure that they haven't as well.
No.
But yeah, you can do so much with the data, and I think the real change happens when you see strong data, and when you have also a very easy way to leverage it and to make use of it, right? So I think that's what we're doing in Namogoo, and we're doing it with many like big retailers. Argos in the UK, and H&M, and JCPenney, and Lowe's, and Dollar Shave Club, and many, I mean, very well advanced and retail and commerce companies.
Right.
Super exciting.
So talk to me about this deep personalization, right? So let's say Martin and I, who are very different people. I'm twice his age. He's from France. I'm from California. Like, we're very, very different, right? That we come in, but we have the same machine. We live in the same neighborhood. So like when we first appear on a website, we kind of look the same.
Yes.
But then you notice some different behavior. You start gathering data on us.
Yes. So actually,
how then you do this deep personalization?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Exactly. So when you land, the mistake here is that you think you land with no history, but actually at the moment you land, we learn so many things about you, even before you looked at the product, right? So
go ahead.
Even from the get-go, right? So I can know that, for example, location you mentioned. I know your browser. I know what's installed there. If you have an ad blocker or not, if you have whatever, what's your speed internet, what's your device CPU availability. So even before you land, I know so many things about you. As soon as you land, for example, the page you landed on, if you landed on initially on a product page, on a category page, on a home page, on a my account page, it tells also so much about you and about your intent at this given session. Where you came from. You came through affiliate, you came from Google, you came from Facebook, you came organically. Is it your first time? Is it your second time? When was your first time? When was your second time? Etc. etc. So how many page views you go through? How many product page views you're going through successively, right? One after the other. Or you go to a product category homepage, you're going around, or you're like super determined on products from the same category. So as you mentioned, as soon as you land and as soon as you browse, we start gathering information. At any given moment, we send it to the engine. And again, the goal here, and it's something very important. The goal, the way that we look at the world, is not to fool you, is not to watch you, is not to be the big brother, is to give JCPenney, H&M, the ability to give Michael and Martin the best experience. That's what guides us, because when you have a good experience, you will buy. Of course, it will be beneficial for JCPenney. It will be beneficial for you because you found what you need. And then when you have a good experience, you will come again. And that's where you will benefit. They will benefit. We create this engagement. So the idea is not to be the big brother. The idea is to give, to learn what you want and give you the right thing at the right time. And to do it with data features and data points and segments that do not compromise your privacy, because as we all know, you're from California, CCPA, Martin is from France, GDPR. So it becomes worse and worse and worse, and for the retail, and more complicated for the retail companies and for the advertising and space, and for the internet companies to deliver good experience, because it just makes it harder. So
how do we make online service, I want to say, like more nuanced? And let me give you an example. I was in Singapore for a month in June, right? And I stay at this hotel and I kind of walk around the corner and I go to this restaurant. The first few times I went there, they didn't know I was going to come back every day, almost for the whole month. But by the time I left, like, they felt like they were my friends. They were like, bye, have a safe flight, all this kind of stuff, right? When I came back a few days ago, they all kind of recognized me, but were a little bit like backed off, like, let's just let him settle in. Do you know what I mean? So there wasn't like the hard sell of let's get you the same exact thing you had last time you were here. Do you know what I mean? It was very subtle and nuanced. And I thought that's super good training.
Yes.
How do we achieve that same thing, that super deep personalization? Because that's what that was, right? It was very personalized sales for me. They remembered my name, where I wanted to sit and stuff like that.
It makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel
It
good.
made me feel at home. Like I want to keep going back there. I feel bad when I eat
Yourself.
somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm
Right?
sure that they do it, of course, to keep, I mean, to generate more revenue. But I think
They know what they're doing. Yeah, they're not silly. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. They know what they're doing, but I think they're also enjoying giving you a good service.
Absolutely.
It's not only about money. It's about
No.
good service. About we're humans, right? It's also about connection and personal relationships. And I think it's harder on the offline to do it because you visit Singapore, not you visit this restaurant or this hotel or this place not every day. So it's easier on the online. It's easier on the online because you're always next to your computer.
Yeah, but how do you make it subtle, though? How do you make it subtle?
Yeah, the key here, I think, is giving you good content, personalized content, good experience to make you come every day. For example, I'm a big fan of Amazon. I love Amazon and I hate Amazon at the same time. But I'm a freak. I'm an Amazon freak. And just every day or two, I just go to Amazon. I get their emails. I go around.
Right.
I even don't know why. I just go. I'm addicted to opening the app and just going on Amazon. And
it's like me going to the Apple store. I would ride my bicycle in Tokyo to Ginza just to go to the store, not to buy anything.
Exactly. I'm an Apple freak. When I go to Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. I just go to Apple store. I don't know why.
Because it's fun. It's fun.
Just fun.
It's the way I buy microphones. I don't need this microphone. I just wanted another microphone.
Exactly. It's all about
just
experience.
One,
it's all about experience. And if you go to the store in Fifth Avenue in New York, just look around and see how many customer service people are there. It's like 100 of them, right? Because they want to give you the best experience, and it's like a candy store, right? It's just fun. And I think it's all about the content and about being personalized and about being interesting and relevant. So you want, if they retailers, and that's what we talk with our clients, you make your website dynamic on a daily basis and personalized and changing, customers will come every day. If it's the same static website every day, why should I come tomorrow, right? So, and then that's where the engagement starts.
So if you feel like this should be an engaging experience, and if you feel like it should be personalized, and you're already calling this like the customer journey OS, that's operating system for people that are scoring at home. We believe, and I'm curious what you believe, or we completely believe that e-commerce isn't solved yet. And one of the things that I think is going to happen for sure is that it's going to become way more immersive, in the same way that when I walked into the Apple store in Ginza or the one on Fifth Avenue in New York, I felt like I was part of this big, active, engaging environment.
Right.
We can see that the internet is going that way, and we can talk about the metaverse or not talk about the metaverse if we want, but we know that there's been technology that's been developed, whether it's Unity or Unreal Engine, that build these amazing experiences in gaming.
Yes.
When do we take those and build that type of operating system for retail, so that when I go to the JCPenney site, or when I go to the Lowe's site, or when I go to the H&M site, I don't just feel like I'm on a website, but I feel like I'm in a physical place, even if I don't have goggles. Do you know what I mean? Are you thinking this far ahead?
Yes.
Thinking, I want to build that immersive environment so that when I do go, I can like literally ride my bicycle there, or theoretically ride it there and have the same amount of fun that I have now when I go to Ginza or to the store on Fifth Avenue.
Totally. You totally got it. So the good news is that it's already built. So the customer
what does that mean?
That we mentioned is already deployed today on 1.5 billion unique monthly visitors. So Namogoo's technology today is running on all visitors of H&M, Marks and Spencer, Lowe's, JCPenney, Argos, Dollar Shave Club, Asics, all these companies. It's already running on 1.5 billion unique monthly visitors. So it's there.
Okay.
The challenge now that we're now working with our clients is to take advantage of it, start using it. And I think the way that I think it should be done is through small steps, right? For example, I'll give you a very small example.
Go ahead.
When you go to booking.com, right? And you
Yep.
see that you look at a room and it's written 20 people are looking at the same room now, or 5 people already reserved this room in the past hour. It creates this gaming competitive, I mean, maybe someone will take my room and I have to do it now. It creates this urge and urgency to take action. But it also, I think, subconsciously, I think it also makes you feel that you're not there alone, right? It makes you feel that you're part of something. You're part of a community of people that is looking now at the room. So I
Really,
think,
is it just me? I just feel annoyed. But anyway, go
maybe
ahead.
annoyed, but it makes you buy. But I think, to me, I mean, the feeling that I get is that I'm a part of something. I'm part of something. So I think if websites become more less cold, and more like warm and inviting and dynamic and personalized and based on community, and if it becomes not like a website, when it feels like some kind of an experience, I think then the change will happen. I think then the change will happen because you will feel like you're in a store. You feel like you're in an Apple store or a physical store, and I think that's part of the challenge that websites need to face today, because you want to feel.
I think so.
And that's the reason why I think why retail stores do not disappear, because we're humans. We want to come. We want to go out.
It's social. Yeah, you can't do that online yet.
We want to touch people. We want to see people. We want to talk to people. And I think maybe it's metaverse, maybe it's something else. I think when websites become like more dynamic and not just not flat, and I think then the change will happen there. Then
have you seen sort of a mindset or a structural change in the thought processes of the people with whom you're working at some of these big companies, where at the outset you had to go to them and say, you need to use this or you need to use that, here's the data that supports it, and now they're coming to you and saying, hey, Ohad, maybe you haven't thought about this, but we've been pouring over the data electronically, and we think if we did X or Y, it'd be so much more effective. And now you're using their kind of recommendations to you to test and then delivering that product to them. Do you see that happening now too? Because that would be cool, right?
Yeah, we see it happening because we start. We have quite a good footprint today, and also executives. It's relatively small community. Executives come. They switch jobs and they talk to each other and they have communities.
Right.
So yeah, we do have inbound interest from companies that want to use our technology for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Now, so you said you loved Amazon, right? Which is a very strange thing to say. Not a lot of people are out there stomping the ground going, oh my God, Amazon, greatest experience in the whole world.
Many people love Amazon. They just don't admit.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Fair enough. Fair enough. Or maybe that's the way people feel about, I don't know, double cheeseburgers as well.
Exactly.
But you're competing with them at some level, right? Because what you're trying to do is give every individual retailer of any size really the same or even better technology than Amazon has, right? Because you can develop this externally and not just build it for yourself.
Yes.
When you look at the way the online retail landscape is changing, what do you see coming down the line, right? Because my feeling is that Amazon today looks super powerful. It looks like they're unbeatable. But I was having this conversation with someone a few days ago. Like IBM looked the same way in 1983 and 1984, just non-stoppable. What's your view on this now? Because you're in it every day.
I think the change that we see between retail companies and Amazon, it's not for the benefit of Amazon. I think Amazon believes, and maybe today it's true, but I think it won't last for long. Amazon believes that they can do everything by themselves. They have the best engineers, best data people, best everything, and it's you can't do everything by yourself. I mean, they're very
no one succeeds alone.
Very, very self-centered. And also Google, and also they don't buy companies, they don't buy any third-party product. Everything they build in-house because they have the best people in the world, and they don't. And I think they're losing a lot. And I think the other companies like JCPenney, like Lowe's, like H&M are more modest in that sense, and they understand that they cannot develop sophisticated things, so they understand that they need to buy. And I think then that's where they develop so much. And because they're always looking, they're scouting, and they're looking for companies that can make them faster. And by the way, we saw we did the research, and we did like an internal like a study in Namogoo, and we saw strong correlation between companies that took Namogoo or didn't take Namogoo as a service, and if they succeeded or not. And we saw like strong correlation, not because Namogoo is special, because it tells something about the company that they want to adopt new technologies, and companies like Namogoo, not just Namogoo, but it tells something about the vibe. And by the way, one of our maybe our biggest client in India, not biggest, but more maybe the best company that I have in India, a company called Boat Lifestyle. It's the fifth largest wearable tech companies in the world. It's the fastest growing D2C company in India. They sell iPhones, Apple Watch, cables, things like that, like tech, like phones, earphones, things like that. And they always say about themselves that the culture of the company is all about experimentation.
Yeah, it has to be. That's what every startup company is, to be fair. It's just one gigantic ongoing experiment.
Exactly. And if you look at their graph, they're like exploding. And companies, old companies like Macy's, and without mentioning too many of them,
without mentioning Macy's,
they're stuck. They're stuck.
Yeah.
They're trying new things. So at some point, like you mentioned IBM, at some point they will just disappear. And so I think about Amazon, they're great. I think they have great technology. They change the world, many worlds, I think.
For sure.
But they're quite, into themselves and not opening themselves to the world. And I think they create enemies, and they don't benefit from many cool technologies that are there outside. So at some point, I think it will be in their disadvantage.
But does Amazon use technology like yours? Maybe they built it themselves, but do they use the same data point, and are they trying to use the same idea of what you do to increase their conversion? They don't at all.
They don't. I'm sure that they're using other things, but they don't use things that we do. But I'm sure that they're using all kinds of technologies to do what they do, because they do extremely well. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's
interesting. Michael, I would ask one more question, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm really wondering one thing is, like, because we see a lot of studies and research on the marketing side of e-commerce, of people saying, like, the buying behaviors of the people are changing. People are buying, like, were buying faster before, and now they take more time, to compare with competitors, to go on social media, to maybe talk to your customer support, and all of these things. But maybe like what you're doing on your side is actually the reverse. It's not because people are changing, it's just because your website maybe might not be optimized enough to convert all of these people.
Yes.
But if you have 1.5 billion unique visitors a month, which means like you have data on what are the people actually doing, right? And so my first question would be like, how many years of data you have right now, and are you able to see trends, like behavior changes, trends in the buying process, basically, of people of the mass market, right? Because if you go to H&M or all of these brands like this, are people really buying different now than 5 years ago? Do they really do that or not?
Yes. So I think you said it right. So we do see great changes in behavior.
Okay.
Of course, people are people, and we're the same people that we were 2 years ago. But I think the way we buy now is different than a year ago or 2 years ago during COVID, and 4 years ago. There was like we were from retail to no retail. Everything, the stores shut down in a month, and then everything switched online. So, and people went like crazy, and because of the stores were closed and the skies were closed and you cannot travel, all the money was switched to buying things on Amazon, on JCPenney, on Walmart, etc. So we saw like a spike of websites being built. So everyone opened the Shopify store, right? And also people bought, like they were stuck at home, and you want to feel good, and you want to buy something for yourself, and you want to and people start buying like crazy. And because you could not travel, all the money that were used to be spent on travel went to commerce. And then when the skies opened and the stores opened again, we see the buying went going down on e-commerce, because the money again was spent on vacations to Thailand, to Singapore, to whatever. So people are less buying today, and also they're more buying in the street again. So yeah, the world is changing, the buying behavior is changing. And I think another trend that we're seeing today is that because of the privacy, GDPR, CCPA, privacy constraints, it's way more difficult to advertise well on Facebook, on Google, etc.
Yeah.
So we see the quality of traffic coming from Facebook and Google to websites going really, really low. I mean, if you look at conversion of Facebook visitors, it's like 20% of organic traffic. So it's just crap traffic. It's like because I think they're trying to throw arrows, but they just miss all the time.
Yeah.
So and it's not good. So the trend that we see in e-commerce companies, and we're part of the trend, is that e-commerce companies find themselves, instead of buying visitors from Mark Zuckerberg, they find themselves investing more in the visitors that came organically, and in visitors that actually are my visitors. We spoke about loyalty. I want to invest more in my customers than spending so much money on new visitors all the time, because it's just crap. So yeah, so everything.
We know this from our own experience as well. And Martin, this plays direct, like this confirms exactly what we think about that. Ohad, I'm going to let you go. This has been amazing.
Great.
Truly amazing. And we really just want to thank you for coming and doing this. I want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Ohad Greenshpan, the
Yes.
CTO of Namogoo,
Yes.
not a Japanese name.
Yes.
Thank you so much. The name comes right out of the Bible, kind of very expressive word. I like this. It's like this
Dissolves
kind of thing. Dissolves. Thank you so much for doing this.
Great. Thank you very much for inviting me.